Thank you for allowing me to represent an organization that was founded in 1983 on Roosevelt Island, and Roosevelt Island Disabled Association. It's our 32nd year. And in the 32 years we've been in existence, I am its 4th president, having followed 3 great people. One who is still alive, the other 2 passed away because of their disabilities. But they were all enabled, even though they had whatever disabilities it might have been. And I see us as an enabled organization. The Roosevelt Island Disabled Association is a not-for-profit, 501c. And what we do, I'd like to read a little statement. It's a mission statement that has not changed for many years. The mission of the Roosevelt Island Disabled Association is mainly to improve, enhance the quality of life of our disabled population on Roosevelt Island. The disabilities of our members are quite diverse, and so we try to provide activities and programs geared to their strengths and abilities, both mental, physical, and emotional. We also provide social services to help broaden their knowledge of organizations and facilities that can assist them in activities of daily living so they can live a more independent and socially active life. And to that, I want to add how that has even blossomed 1,000 times is when we first applied for the grant for a bus for public purpose, and we got the money for it. For the first time, more than 2 people who were disabled will now be able to travel together. Our bus holds 15 people, 5 wheelchairs, as well as 10 seated. And this is all as a result of receiving the grant for the bus and then receiving grants later on. We also have received grants from the city and the state. This year we got no grants so far, not a dime. Okay, for whatever reason, we did not get in on time for the city council grant, which I was told they aggressively sought me, and I asked how many phone calls and how many emails, and they just said apply next year. Which means I didn't get any emails or any phone calls to apply, unfortunately. So what has happened, and as a result of the delay in the public purpose funds, our bus it's working, but it sits under the bridge with no insurance on it, and we're allowed to park there. From RIDA gave us, and the public safety department allows us to park there. So what our public purpose fund will do is get our bus back, move it again. It's an older bus, it's 2,000 years old. I've also applied to a state grant. 2,000, like me. It's a 2001 Ford bus. Thank you. I've also applied about 4 months ago to a grant that came down from New York State for transportation for seniors or disability to actually purchase a new bus. We haven't heard anything because the state legislators are just not, they put the grants out, but then they put it aside for other things. So we're still waiting on that to hear from them. What our bus does provide, and did provide when we were using it, is 4 to 6 trips a month. Now when you times that by 12, you're talking plus 45 trips a month, a year, for our disabled people to go to venues as they've gone in the past. Shopping is a biggie. Baseball games, museums. They've even gone as far up to the Roosevelt Mansion. What our bus provides for our people is that we can go when we want to go, in the times that we want to go, because we make that decision. Prior to that, they used to rent a bus for about $600 every time they used it from an organization in the city, and there's only one organization in the city that has a bus that you can rent, and that bus never leaves the confines of the 5 boroughs. The first trip we had was to Walmart in Valley Stream, and I took that trip, and it's one of the few trips I take myself. I'm privileged to have a van that's been accessorized by the disabled vets. I am a disabled vet. But I took that trip only because when you leave the Bell Parkway, you're heading towards the Southern State Parkway, you're going to see a sign that says, "You are now leaving New York City." We had people with tears in their eyes because they had not left New York City in 20 years. And now it's an every other month trip to Walmart. They go up to Westchester County, White Plains, New Jersey. There's no limit to where they go. We're privileged. We hire drivers, which is the only person as an independent contractors. And these are all qualified accessory drivers who are driven for us. Part of what we do on the island is that we provide for anybody on the island. If they need a wheelchair, immediately I have wheelchairs. If they need a scooter, I have a scooter. If they need an electric wheelchair, temporarily, I have one. If they need crutches, I have one. If they need canes, I have them. And we make this available to anybody on the island. Even though we do have a membership, and the reason why we have a membership is because with our bus, anybody who's wheelchair bound has priority on the bus. Because we feel another person might be able to take the subway or New York City bus. But a wheelchair person is reluctant to do that. Part of the things that the Roosevelt Island Disabled Association does, I'm just going to tell you something that happened in the last 2 weeks. Thank you to RIDA. I sent a picture of right behind Blackwell Park. As you go through the back, you'll see a patch that was all mangled and very bad. It needed to be patched up. I sent a picture of it to RIDA. A week later, it was fixed. And what that means, for me, in a motor scooter, I can ride over it with little bumps, no problem. But because our island has a considerable amount of seniors, people with walkers, people with canes, children who don't necessarily lift their feet, it was a hazard waiting to happen, tripping over it. That's no longer there. Okay? I go around every year, check every cut curb on Roosevelt Island to make sure that it's accessible. Now, if you are a wheelchair person who's not electric, you have to turn your wheelchair around. If there's any kind of disparity between the sidewalk, cut curb, and the street, you have to wheel it backwards because your small wheels cannot pick it up. So we're hoping that eventually that will be all taken care of by the island. They do a good job on it. I help get the swimming pool. I help get the lift for disabled people. I also was instrumental in helping to get in the subway, that little level where now they have. Because if I were to try to enter the subway, I'd have to put this on high speed and tell people get out of the way, because I'm coming in. And I'd have to go over at least a ½ inch to 3/4 inch disparity between the open door and the platform. That no longer happens. where the subway stops and the conductor is where the disabled person can now get in and out on both sides. Also, I'm an advocate for any organization that has any issues with disabled people, I get to call. From the Garden Club, to Public Safety, to RIDA, to Grenadier Realty, where I live, Manhattan Park, I get to call. Okay? One thing we're doing new this year is that, for the very first time, we are supporting another group that's just moved to the island called Do For One. Do For One, it wants to and is working with people with cognitive disabilities who really have no family. And so he's, with this fellow named Andrew, he's putting people together with them and to befriend them. He actually has passed all the requirements for Kohler Hospital, where he does work. And last week he and I met with the management of Manhattan Park to see if we can get access to their community room to start bringing these people together and giving them something to do. Because our streets every day have people walking back and forth with cognitive problems and have no place to go and nothing to do.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you very much for that.
Can I just mention one thing? We're also the sponsor of the FDR Home Memorial, which is fully funded to put the monument in its place.